girl Diamond, and I'm back with my all new review of Heart and Hustle Houston. Let's get into it. So we got Chloe and Jordan. They have a cute date night. They went to this virtual baseball arcade game. Looks kind of fun. And Chloe lets us know of her life after her husband passed away, answering all those questions that a lot of people had in regards to her dating a younger man. Assuming this is her first relationship since her husband passed away, turns out it's not. She has dated a lot of people after her husband passed away, and Jordan was somebody that she's considered a relationship because they have this magnetic connection, and it was a familiar feeling. It was the same as she felt from her late husband. So, talking about their life together, they've been together 6 months. She was insecure about dating him because he is 17 years younger than her. And she was worried about how people would look at them if they were out and about, but obviously she didn't care. It was all about the way Jordan made her feel. And just asking him about how would he feel about her later on if they was to continue the relationship. I'm going to get older. You're going to get older. Are you going to still look at me the same way? You'll be in your 40s. I'll be in my 60s. I won't still look like this. There'll be some wrinkles. I'm going to start aging. But keep in mind, though, black don't crack. He said, listen, I'm going to still be here. I'm going to still look at you the same way. We'll just keep you in the gym. I'm like, okay. That comment didn't bother me because we got active seniors out here in the world that don't look their age. So Chloe will be fine. I think she'll make sure she looks good for herself, not for him. But anyway, moving on. We get to the comment about how does he feel that her son is still living with her. He don't like it. He's like, he's a grown-ass man. When will he leave out the house? She defends him with saying, he still got to figure out what he wants to do with his life. He had to give up his life to be there for me. When I lost my husband, I was a wreck. And he was there for me. He was there for his sisters. They lost their father. They lost the only male figure in the house. So he had to come in and replace that. So while she's getting emotional, he wasn't trying to come down so harsh about it. He does agree that her son was there for her. But she was like, listen, I'm going to always be there for my children. I'm going to always be there to nurture them until they're ready to go. I'm not going to kick him out because I don't believe he's ready to go out. But learning this is what it's like to date somebody younger than you. They just don't understand your dynamics. But it's kind of like later down the episode, I understand where Jordan was coming from, but maybe his approach wasn't necessary because you guys are only dating 6 months. Where are y'all seeing this relationship? Okay, does he have authority to say what you should do for your son? Absolutely not. That is your son. You made the decision on what you want to do for your child, not him. But moving on, we get Tori. She's at her restaurant and she has a Zoom meeting with her counselor, Miss Sylvia, to address how she's been feeling since Brina's spa event and the interaction she had with Nira at Brina's house. Going back to how she's felt growing up. She was the big girl. She was chocolate skinned, and people assume her approach and her jokes were come across as a bully. So she's trying to be mindful of how she is talking to people and making jokes to people. So mentioning the situation when she was at Brina's spa that she saw Nira walking in. She's normally seeing Nira all dressed up, and she came with a cute little jogging outfit with some sneakers, and I said she looked cutesy. And she didn't like that I said it. She said, I'm not 5. And we get to Brina's house, and she mentions that she didn't like the way I said she looked 11. And it was bothering her that I kept saying it, and I just wasn't understanding why it got to this point. So her counselor said it's because you don't know how her past has bothered her of being called cutesy, that it could have been triggering for her, which is the same thing that Ro told her at Brina's house, that you don't know how she's operated in the work environment of being called cute or being complimented for how young she looks. That was kind of undermining her authority. And Tori never looked at it that way. And because it's something that she's dealt with and how your personality is coming across, she took offense to it. You was giving her compliments, but she didn't take it as you was giving compliments. She brought up something that has always bothered her. And then while she understood that's how Nira was feeling, she still threw a little dig in there by saying that, wow, Nira always likes to present things all nice and perfect. There are some layers that she's still holding back to uncover. So the fact that she came out so expressive over this problem It was eye-opening. And she's wondering, how do you move forward? Because I want to be in a safe space with a group of ladies and I want them to feel safe as well. So we got to fix the groove. So maybe Miss Sylvia can come and give some advice to the ladies about how we can move forward. As long as the ladies are comfortable with her being there, that could be a good idea. I don't have a problem with how Tori is about to settle for everybody to be expressed about how they felt, because yes, when you are in a group of friends, you got to be mindful of how people talk to you, how they approach you. And obviously, this is a group of ladies who don't have a lot of history being around each other for a long period of time. So they're learning how to talk to one another. They're learning how to joke one another. And this is something that we all need to understand. So I'm not mad at Tori for wanting to fix it, and how she's recognizing that she didn't understand how Nira felt in the beginning. So moving on from there. Okay, so now we have Nira. She actually has her date night with Norm and her mom because she wants them to be onto a better place, for them to like one another, because they all live together, but they're both very stubborn. And Norman makes a joke about, there are times where I guess his joke is not always nice. It's always like a sarcastic joke. It's always him jonesing on Nira and what she do. And there are times where he's looking super serious, but he's defending the fact that he thinks about a lot of things that he has to figure out, and it's not towards anybody. The mama's like, well, he's had that same face for 10 years. So it's this big speech about how she wants everybody to be on the same page and wonders if she's lacking in certain areas that she's not aware of. Because I guess watching two of them be at odds with one another, and she's trying to work, she's trying to be there for the kids, she's trying to be everything for everybody, but she's concerned if she's letting somebody down. So it's like, am I doing anything that's making y'all upset? Am I not paying attention to you guys long enough that I'm not in a good space? And it's like, why would we be mad at you if you're not showing us any attention when we know you have a lot going on? We know you have a lot on your plate. You're doing what you need to do. Why would I be mad at you if you're feeling stressed out or feeling upset? Because how you move and how you feel, it has nothing to do with us. Because she never talked about what it was like to being a wife and being a mom. So because she have all these things and she's wearing all of these hats, she's wondering if she is succeeding in any of them. Yes, when you are a mom, you're a wife, you feel like you're failing at other areas, but it's not presenting to you like you're the failure. Like you don't know how to be a good mom. You don't know how to be a good wife. No. There are a lot of things being a mom and a wife you mess up on. It's natural. It's the way of life. So I feel like Nira be putting way too much pressure on herself to be good at everything. And now she's feeling even more pressure into making sure that her family is good. Her mom and her husband are good. Sometimes moms and son-in-laws don't have to have a real relationship. They don't have to. They can have love for one another, but they don't have to have a good relationship. So talking about how you want to have the proper time to be there for the kids, and while mothers tend to be workaholics and you're in grind mode, you don't always recognize that you're not putting enough time to be there for your family. So what was the whole point of this? Was it about making it right for your family, or was it making it right for your mom and your husband? Because of course, you don't want to be in the middle of the problem, but I feel like there was never a real problem. It was something that just bothered you, that you wanted to be a real issue. So both her husband and her mom recognize that she does work 24/7 and she's doing what she's supposed to do. All they can do is just be there to lighten the load. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want it ever to be like we're not there to help you, like you're here all by yourself, because you're not. And she doesn't want it to be that type of situation where she's dumping her responsibilities of being a parent onto her mother. But that's what grandmas are there for. They're there to help you. And she's living with y'all what she's there to do. You know what I'm saying? But I understand what Nira is trying to say. And Norman's doing what he's supposed to do. Be there for her, help her have that balance. And Norman said, I don't give you a lot of props, Mom, but you do a lot when it comes to being there for us and the children. And he doesn't say it often, but he is trying to express it now, that he probably should have expressed it more. The mom says the same thing about how I appreciate everything you do for my daughter and my grandchildren. You are a great man. I have never seen a man take care of their kids the way you do. I am super happy to have a son-in-law like you. I couldn't see anybody else married to my daughter but you. So this was a good conversation. You know what I'm saying? She completed the task about wanting her mom and her husband to see things eye to eye, to be cool, and to be thankful that she has an amazing village and that she shouldn't take things for granted. Listen, I understand where Nira is coming from in regards to making sure that her husband and her mom are in good standings, because I've been through that as well. But it wasn't up to me to fix it. It was up to them to figure it out. And that's why I'm wondering in the beginning where Nira said she's always in the middle of things. Are you always in the middle of things, or do you want to be in the middle of things because you want to fix it? You want to be the fixer, the one that keeps everything all together, the glue. But you don't have to stress yourself out on making it right if it's not worth it, if it doesn't need to be this big of a deal. But I digress. Moving on, we now get Brina. She is at her house. We see her husband getting a haircut, and she is discussing some problems that she has been having with her oldest child. Turns out she shares a 15-year-old son with another man, and she shares a 3-year-old daughter with the husband she has now. So they split. They have, 50-50 custody. You know, half the time is spent with her, half the time is spent with his father. But apparently, there's talks of his grade slipping, and maybe she's concerned about what is the rules like in his father's household. Are things lackadaisical? Are things copacetic? Like, why is his grade slipping? Because in her house, they have rules. So she's kind of battling on whether or not she wants her son to spend that equal amount of time with his father, and that she wants him to stay at her house full time to get his mind back on track. But I'm hoping that you don't make the decision without putting his father in the mix. Like, don't make the decision based off of you assuming that his father is the reason why his grades are lacking. Yes, he's 15. Yes, he is in high school. He's supposed to be buckling down, making sure his grades are good. But that could be a simple conversation. That could be a simple plan you guys can create where it could be implemented in both households so his grades can get back good. But moving on from there, because that's not the end of it. All right, so now we get into the scene with Chloe and her son Nico. This was an intense conversation that was like, wow. And you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Baby Boy, okay? Because she is thinking about what Jordan said when they were on their last date about his feelings about Nico not stepping up, and she is giving him credit because he spoke the truth. Her son hasn't been talking to her for the last couple of days, and it's been that way since she started dating Nico. And it's like, what's wrong with him? I want to know, is it about Jordan, or is he mad about something else? Let's talk about it. So when he comes up the stairs, she's telling him he hasn't been communicating, and she wants to know why. He says, because you dated somebody 4 years older than me. Okay, what does it have to do with anything? He said, it's weird. Why is it weird? Because everybody's saying it's weird, and I think it's weird too. Okay, so I'm weird. You ain't got to be a part of what I got going on since I'm weird. What's next? At least I have something going on. At least I'm living my life. He's all about what you doing with your life. Excuse me? What do you mean what Chloe is doing with her life? You living in her house. She got a business. And she's telling him, you know what I had going on when I was your age? I had things going on in my life. I was doing things to create a life for myself. Then he wants to check her about, no, you weren't. You was living with your mother. Okay. And why are you addressing her mom and not saying you was living with grandma? Why aren't you saying it like that? So because she was living with her mom doesn't mean she wasn't doing nothing. And it's like, nigga, you are crossing the line right now. How are you telling your own mom that while she was living with her mother, she wasn't doing nothing? Excuse me? So she checked his ass real good by saying, yeah, just because I was living with my mom doesn't mean I wasn't doing nothing for myself. I was going to school. I was starting a career. I was taking care of you. Then want to continue to blast her by saying she wasn't paying a bill. Listen, there's a possibility that Chloe's mom didn't want her to pay a bill. Chloe's mom probably told her, stack your money up. Make sure you take care of you and my grandchild. So that way you can make something out of yourself. That's probably why, Nico. Okay? Blessed to have that type of arrangement between Chloe and her mother was probably the best thing ever. But you want to blast her as if she wasn't doing shit for herself? Are you for real right now? So she says, I'm the problem. And he said, yes, you are the problem. Really? Everything that Chloe has gone through to get to this space, and she's the problem? And then in her confessional, she says, my son knows what I went through when it came down to me and him and me raising him. For him to cut me open like that, that's very hurtful. I will never blast my mother on her trials and tribulations or what she had to go through when she had me and she was working. I will never do that because me and my mom went through a lot before she met my stepfather. And I would never blast her. I would never hurt her and airing out her dirty laundry like that. For what? Because you don't like who she's dating? I would never do that to my own mother. The fact that Nico will blast his own mom like that as if she didn't raise him, she didn't make sure he was taken care of, he's living under a good roof over his head, she's probably taking care of his bills, paying for him to live his life. Like, are you fucking for real right now? Oh, okay. So, like, since I'm the problem, right? I've done everything that I was supposed to do, and I'm still failing. Cool. As if you ain't living good. Probably. Like, you calling me out, let's call you out. What you got going on? Because when I was your age, I was taking care of a 5-year-old. I had a job. I was doing the damn thing. What are you trying to do with your life? He said, well, I'm trying to be a rapper. Doomed to fail. Sorry. That's the answer you came up with? You trying to be a rapper? Okay, so when's the last time you put any effort in going to the studio? Man, I ain't been in the studio in about a good 2 weeks. So you're not on your grind. You're not doing what you need to do. Like she said, I haven't heard you go to the studio in years. You ain't doing shit. Like, you coasting on what your mother has provided for you. So, Jordan, you get a little bit of credit for me because what I'm seeing right now is the fact that Nico has been spoiled. Nico has been catered to, he's been enabled, he's been coddled, and now he thinks he's running the damn thing off of his mommy's pockets. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. So you don't have a goal in mind while trying to be a rapper. What is your plan B? What is your plan C? You're not putting effort into your craft, sir. So when you don't become a rapper, what is your backup plan? You need a backup plan, right? So now he wants to be like, so you don't believe me? It ain't about me believing you. It's about what are you doing for it. That's the whole thing. The conversation literally went nowhere. Okay? Because it's kind of like you coming at her about who she's dating as if you have a say-so in that, because you don't. While everybody can understand how Nico feels, probably feels protective of his mom and his sisters, but at the same point in time, your mama is your mama. She's not your woman. Okay? This ain't no some Melvin shit, okay? Like I'm telling you, I feel like reciting that scene from Baby Boy because, listen, this is my house, not your house. Well, you went wrong for placing a high title on your son by being there for you when you went through a tough time, but bring his ass back down to reality, okay? He is a grown-ass man. He needs to do things for himself. He needs to go out and live for himself, okay? While this was a real raw scene between Chloe and her son, I do hope that there are some counseling moments to see on the show, or that she will implement counseling later down the line in the real world outside of the show. But this wasn't nice to see. It was heart-wrenching, but if he's only mad about his friends making fun of him for the fact that his mom is dating a younger man, then he needs to take that up with his friends and go talk to somebody else about it. You cannot blame your mom for moving on with her life and dating somebody for the time being. Yes, the man is young, but we're not sure this is a lasting relationship or not, but you cannot hold her responsible because your friends are making fun of you. Like, get over it, okay? I'm sorry, but moving on. We got Brina. She decides to have a family dinner with her parents. It's been a long time that her parents have been in the same room together since they divorced when she was around 2. And her dad has been married to her stepmom for about 30 years. Her mom is no longer married. So was the stepmom not invited, but you only wanted this to be a family dinner with your actual mom and dad. Anyway, so she is talking about how her kids are doing great. You know, her daughter is doing amazing, and now she has a 15-year-old son, and in the blink of an eye, he's going to be growing out the door, going off to college. But it's wondering, what is a good age for your kids to leave out the house? Her dad said 18, okay? Just, they can still be with family, but let them go ahead and leave the nest, experience the world. Now, she didn't like that 18 was the age to be leaving the house, but she gives us a backstory of her parents. Her daddy was in the streets when he was a teenager, and her mom was a teen mom. So life came at them very hard, and they didn't know how to parent the way that they should have. But she reflects on the fact that she wasn't led with a calm, civilized conversation about what her plans were going to look like when she was approaching a legal age, and that she was just told to get out of her parents' house. But her parents defended why they kicked her out of the house. And she's like, but I was 19 and I had a child that wasn't even 1 and I was told to leave the house. Well, like her mother said, you wasn't following the rules, so you were told to get out. And I feel like that's a part of Brina's personality, While she was met with such harsh reality, she's not looking at where it led to that. Nobody told you to lay down and get pregnant at 19 and have a baby. You did what you wanted to do. These are the consequences. Your parents told you could stay home, but if you wasn't following their rules, you had to go. But because of that, she was left with resentment as to why she wasn't presented with proper tools on how to thrive outside the world as an adult. But of course, the way that her parents grew up and how they treated her, they thought they treated her the way that they were supposed to treat her, teach her the way they wanted to teach her. And she wasn't met with nurturing. She wasn't met with softness. They were very hard and strict on her. And they defended the fact that because of how hard they was on her, look at how her life has become. You're living in an amazing house. You have an amazing career, an amazing husband. You are set up, right? But don't like that tough mentality where you got to kick your kids out of the house in order for them to learn how to live in the outside world without any actual help. So because the times were very hard for her of being out there by herself, you develop a hard shell. You weren't met with love, no support. You're acting in survival mode. But her mom was giving her the proper respect to feel how she feels. She wasn't trying to disrespect or disregard the fact that how she turned out. But around that time, it was hard for her mom to navigate being a young mom as well. How to learn how to be an adult. And things were hard for her to do at the time. Hard to get an apartment, probably hard for her to get a job. But she does admit there could have been some things she could have did better. And yes, it was hard for her to go out there in the world while she was young, and she doesn't want to put her son in that same position. That's why she doesn't believe in kicking your kids out before they should be head out into the world. Well, let me tell you something. Listen, my daddy was out there reckless as a teenager as well. You know, he wanted to be grown and he was out the door before he was 18. My mom, she had a whole different story. My grandma was very understanding. We all lived with her for a long period of time, along with my other aunts and uncle and everything. And until my mom got everything set up, we moved out, got our own apartment as well. And my own husband, he moved out when he was 18 as well. I do think that certain circumstances and certain situations causes for people to move out earlier than they need to. But Brina was very emotional. She told her mom how she felt about how things could be handled differently. And even though the situation left with her getting out of the house, it wasn't left where you could never come back. You could have always come home. But Brina felt like, nah, there were times where her own mom didn't want to be at the house. Meaning that the mom was probably left with a situation she didn't know how to leave either. You know what I'm saying? She was probably left with a situation where she had to stay with the man that she was with at the time. But it was a nice moment for them to talk about and the resentment that she had towards her. So it's a step to healing. And I do think these types of conversations are so therapeutic. I appreciate Brina for being open and honest about her struggles. But either way, I'm very happy this conversation was happening. It was very nice. It was open. It was honest. I'm happy, but we're moving forward. All right, so now we get into Tori's Feels and Heals event. It's supposed to be an introduction for all the ladies to come in, speak on how they're feeling so everybody can move forward. And everybody's hesitant on how this is going to go. But Miss Sylvia opens up the floor to address if anybody wants to start off with how they're feeling. And Elena mentions that her and Josh are going through a transition in their marriage. They're sleeping in separate bedrooms, and this is all just a test for them to move forward and get back to being better for one another. Chloe clocked it and said that Elena's being extremely vague about her situation. It's like, girl, speak up about how you feel. Take off your mask. Let's be real about it. But Elena's being cryptic. Okay, she's even saying she's holding back on what she doesn't want to talk about because she's protecting Josh. What is there to protect? Even in the confessional, the producers are hearing her be cryptic about wanting things to be in a better space, wanting them to work out. Okay, but what are you working out from? What are some things you haven't discussed? She said, I don't like to share. And she is talking about how what she's gone through and that her trust has been broken and she's not sure if she can move on from it. So what is it? Everybody has deduced that Josh has cheated on her. Obviously, she revealed he cheated on her before, but it sounds to me he's been an habitual cheater, and maybe this was the final straw that he cheated and maybe a baby came out the mix. I don't know how old the baby is. I don't know when this was discovered, but this sounds to me something you don't want to reveal, and that's why you're protecting Josh. Moving on from there, we got Rose. She is talking about being there for her daughter. You know, she's going through that middle school phase where middle schoolers are mean, and she wants to have a positive relationship with her daughter, be a positive influence. And she's not reaching out to her mom because her mom will tell her way of teaching children, her way of disciplining her children. And I don't want that. I want my daughter to be given the proper space of becoming the girl that she is growing up to be, which I find beautiful. Brina, who got instantly emotional with discussing how she struggled a lot with being a single mom, a young mom, and how she was treated for being a young mom. She was treated harshly. There was no guidance, no love, but that turned up her hustle, and that hustle turned into $1 million hustle to the woman that she is today. But she doesn't want the same thing to happen to her son. You know, she doesn't want to push him out when he's not ready to go out. And then Chloe comes in and she connects it with how she's in that same space with having that back and forth with her own child, and realized that maybe I blocked him out because I figured he's grown, he doesn't need my help anymore, and I'm recognizing is that's how I'm treating him. Does he not think that because he's grown, he's not feeling the love from me because I'm not there to guide him? Am I pushing him out without realizing I'm doing it? So agreeing with Brina, how she felt like she was in survival mode with being a young mom, she felt like she was in survival mode when her husband died. I wasn't concerned about how my son felt. I was concerned about how my bills were being paid. I didn't check in on how my son was feeling. I didn't check on what he was doing. And it kills me that I didn't do that. My life was so chaotic that my kids did not realize how much I was loving on them. My kids were not recognizing the love I was giving to them because I wasn't showing up the way that I thought I was. And I was emotional for Chloe in that moment because it was like her mind was all over the place. Her husband just died. Everything that she thought was going to be great went crumbling down. So, of course, her mind was only concerned about making sure the bills were paid. And she wasn't checking in on her children like she needed to, especially her oldest son. So, I hope that this is a sign that she needs to get back with Nico, get back to a better space and reconnect with her child. Tell him that she's sorry. She didn't know what she was doing. Like, I'm happy she's holding herself accountable for it. It was very beautiful to see. So then we also get to Tori. She's talking about navigating her healing journey while losing her father. And it's been about a year since he passed away. He was her cheerleader. He was her support. He was everything. And that kind of ties into Tori's personality, you know, where I'm not showing what I've been through. And there might have been times where I might have joked the way that I joked, but it wasn't received well. And how her and Nira had a moment. She wanted to read a letter to Nira, but Nira was like, I wanted to talk about how we came at each other at that moment because she thought she left Brenna's house thinking that it was out of sight, out of mind, and she was texting Tori, but Tori wasn't responding back. She was like, I wanted to process what had gone on, and if I didn't hurt you, I didn't trigger you, why are we talking so intensely? But Nira said she wasn't triggered, it was just irritating. Obviously, I do think it was true because it brought back a moment where you felt you were undermined because you looked young, Nira. So I wanted you to be upfront about that. And Elena jumps in and she has a back and forth with Nira about how she had her own moment with Nira about being called cute and that Nira didn't like it. So that was the last time she ever complimented like that to her again. So it's like, is it the word Nira? Does that word really bothers you? Because you are addressing that it triggers you, but you just don't like it. But I don't know. That whole interaction was very interesting. She got annoyed at Elena coming in, and I'm like, why is Elena jumping in? But she just wants to be treated like an adult, even though she looks young, but she doesn't want to be treated like she's young. I don't understand, Nira. But I feel like, does everybody have to be mindful of complimenting you if you're going to be upset every time? I don't know, but hey, it is what it is. But it reflected back to Tori about why you felt the way you felt, but it didn't align with Tori's personality because her personality does not match that. It doesn't match that she's the type of person who wants to purposefully insult somebody. So when she reads her letter, talks about how she admires people that she looks up to and she wants them to be treated with respect and love, and she didn't mean it, and she figured out maybe she could have said it something in a different way, and how they're both from the same sorority, they hold the same principles to one another, and that's what we should apply. Nira appreciated the apology. She's ready to move past it. I do think this was a great scene. I do think everybody had a good time, and this is how you do a Ponderosa. Okay, everybody was open. They all connected. They bonded. I want more of this. Okay, moving on. We got the final scene. We got Chloe. She is hosting a ladies' night with single ladies, with Tori, with Ro, a little of Elena because she is almost single, maybe not, and a special guest. Who is the special guest she's inviting? It is Shaniqua, the woman that she met at the rodeo that Tori brought along, and how they've had conversations. She says she's really cool, so I figured why not add a fun person into the mix. But Ro was not here for new people. Like, I don't want new people. I don't want to get comfortable with new people. Then I got to be mindful about how I talk around that person. I don't like that. And I'm with Ro. So I'm with Ro all day throughout this whole ordeal because she clocked that Shaniqua keeps popping up at events. Like, why are you always here? Why are you always around us? Even though this was Chloe's guest that she invited, but you got to admit, Shaniqua kind of just popped out of nowhere at the rodeo, wanting to be around the ladies, and now she's here in the actual scene. No, Shaniqua wants to be a part of the show, and she wanted a moment. So Tori says, listen, I know we have not communicated in 10 years, so when I met you at the rodeo, I really did not connect with you. I was with my girls, but let's focus on the now. How are you doing? How has your life have been? Okay? But Chloe wanted to come in and apologize because she didn't want to overstep in regards to how her friendship with Tori was. But Tori said, no, it's not even that, though. We got to keep it a buck. Me and her have not communicated in well over 10 years. And that's probably the length of their relationship. But then Shaniqua feels some type of way about Tori kind of undermining their relationship. But if that's what it was, is what it was. It's been 10 years. And then Tori is in PR. She has connected Shaniqua to all types of people, all types of events. So what are you thinking she's minimizing? I mean, it's been 10 years. I'm with Ro. That's justified to minimizing. And she ain't been around y'all in all these years. So why are you all of a sudden making it seem as if she is avoiding saying she knows you when she doesn't remember you, which is kind of fine if she don't. And this back and forth between Ro and Shaniqua was very interesting because you're defending a character assassination that was never there. If she doesn't remember you, she doesn't remember you. That's fine. So I feel like Shaniqua wanted a moment on camera, and she was pulling out receipts to defend this character assassination that she's claiming Tori is doing to her, but she wasn't even thinking of you when she met you. She still was trying to put a name with a face. She doesn't get it. Make it make sense. And Tori meets people every single day. So there's a lot of faces she don't remember, but it's not about whether or not she cares to remember. That's just her line of business. I don't know why you're taking offense to it. It's not necessary. Then if y'all only communicated through Facebook, then what was the actual presentation of y'all relationship? And then she brings out these old ass emails. Back in 2014, girl, where did you find the time to print these? You got a binder? It's like, what the hell is this shit? Now, Chloe, in her confessional, did say that I might have told Shaniqua that Tori don't remember her, but I am not expecting her to pull all of these receipts from AOL. And I agree. While it could look very messy on Chloe's part by bringing Shaniqua, I don't think she had any intentions on putting Tori on the spot like that. This was all what Shaniqua wanted to do. Shaniqua saw an opening and she took it. Like, you can't be this pressed over somebody that don't remember you from 10 years ago. You know how many people you meet in the course of 10 years and they don't remember you after that? It is totally normal. Okay, girl, it's not that big of a deal. I'm annoyed. Ro's seeing how defensive she's getting, but it's like, there's no point in doing all of this. Why do all of this? Why is she here? And she's questioning Chloe. Did you know she's going to do this? She said, no, I didn't. Okay, then why is she here? She should not be doing this shit. All because she wanted a moment to be on camera, and it's like, girl, bye. What was the real reason for doing all this shit? Then Ro and Shanita going back and forth. Then Shaniqua calls Ro a bitch. It's like, what? A bitch? Okay, and that's where it all ends. I cannot. Can we leave Shaniqua where she's at? Nowhere to be found. Like, why is she here? Okay, we don't need no ratchetness like this. We were doing fine without Shaniqua. We don't need her here to spice up nothing. We're doing fine without her, okay? Don't bring none of that Zeus, baddies, now that's TV, dollhouse. We don't need none of that shit over here, okay? Fix this shit. I don't want to see Shaniqua again. But then I did the sneak peek for next week's episode, which is tomorrow. She's going to be back on my screen. And she's going to have a conversation with Ro for what? No, I don't want her here. Leave her, please. But y'all, that is all I have. This episode was good. I enjoyed it, but I don't want Shaniqua here. I don't want her. Return to sender. She's not invited. She don't go here. That is it. That is all. Please stay tuned for my next video, and I'm going to see you guys later. Bye.